This is not a general broadcast. This is the August forecast and the ultimate survival protocol specifically encoded for the Gemini architecture. If your geometric structure is Gemini, listen to the frantic screaming of your failing systems. Look at the red error codes flashing across the walls of your perimeter. The unawakened masses believe that constant, forward momentum is the only law of survival. They are addicted to speed. They build their empires on rapid communication, endless networking, and the chaotic, kinetic thrill of launching new ideas. When their systems begin to lag, their biological ego panics. They push the engines harder, trying to force a corrupted code to run until the entire machine catches fire and burns their heavy capital to ash. Gemini, in August, the Matrix uses this exact biological flaw to audit your architecture. We have entered the coordinate of the System Rollback. Your ruling planet, Mercury, the celestial processor of your entire operation, violently halts its forward trajectory. It stations retrograde, shifting from the meticulous operational territory of Virgo backward into the loud, public, broadcast-heavy territory of Leo. This is not a minor delay. This is a forced, structural halt. Throughout August, the Matrix is going to deliberately crash your external expansion. The algorithm will deploy the fatal error. Deals you thought were closed will suddenly collapse. Your funnels will glitch. The market will misunderstand your broadcast. External processes will grind to an agonizing, heavy stop. The algorithm wants you, Gemini, to panic in the silence. It wants you to desperately scramble to keep the red servers running, to talk your way out of the delay, and to launch new products on top of a rotting foundation. If you try to outrun the glitch, your empire will shatter. In this profound, high-density transmission, we are going to dissect the brutal thermodynamics of your August forecast. We are going to eradicate your biological addiction to external validation and speed. And I am going to teach you the rollback protocol, how to execute a hard shutdown on your public broadcast, retreat into the dark concrete core, surgically purge the bugs from your operating system, and emerge in September with an entirely invulnerable code. Gemini, stop forcing the machine. Pull the plug. To wield the annihilating power of your Gemini core this month, you must first recognize the lethal nature of a corrupted algorithm. Gemini, you are the network. You are biologically programmed to process data at light speed, to connect the nodes, and to expand horizontally across the grid. In a frictionless environment, your speed is your supreme asset. But your matrix in August is full of friction. When Mercury retrogrades through Virgo and Leo, the celestial algorithm actively punishes speed. Virgo rules your internal architecture, your daily routines, your automated funnels, your precise data management. Leo rules your external broadcast, your public ego, your launches, and your stage. The retrograde exposes a critical truth. You have been broadcasting a Leo performance on top of a broken Virgo infrastructure. Look at the mechanics of the unawakened Gemini during this transit. A major contract is delayed. A vital communication is misinterpreted. A funnel fails to convert. Instantly, their internal temperature skyrockets. Their ego demands that they fix it by doing times more. They send 10 more emails. They launch a spontaneous new offer to compensate for the lost revenue. They try to talk their way through a concrete wall. This is exactly what the August algorithm punishes. Every time you try to launch a new product or force an external connection during the system rollback, you are executing a command on a corrupted hard drive. You are taking the dense, heavy, valuable core energy of your empire and pouring it into a void. The unawakened believe they are hustling. In esoteric physics, they are simply spreading a virus through their own grid. Gemini, you must understand that the collapsing deals and the external delays this month are not a crisis. They are a highly advanced security feature of the Matrix. The algorithm is forcibly stopping your expansion because if you were allowed to scale your current, buggy architecture, the structural collapse would be fatal. A sovereign architect does not argue with the error code. They rewrite it. The threshold of the Mercury retrograde has been crossed. The most terrifying force in the universe is not the loudest voice in the room. The most terrifying force in the universe is the sovereign who suddenly, completely, and unapologetically goes silent. When the Matrix deploys the fatal error this month, your only viable geometric maneuver is the rollback protocol. Gemini, you must execute a total embargo on the external ether. You must look at your architecture and immediately shut down the public broadcast, cancel the new product launch, pause the aggressive marketing campaign. Stop trying to convince the unawakened clients to sign the delayed contract. Your biological Gemini ego will scream at you to keep talking. It will tell you that silence is death. It will tell you that if you do not broadcast your every move, the swarm will forget you exist, and your competitors will consume your market share. This is the arrogance of the red glitch. In esoteric brutalism, silence is not an absence. It is a heavy, physical barricade. When you shut down your external output, you stop the kinetic leak. You stop feeding the corrupted algorithm. You create a massive, terrifying vacuum in the market. The swarm expects you to be loud, chaotic, and available. When you drop your temperature to absolute zero and disappear into the vault, their radar returns nothing but dark, impenetrable concrete. By refusing to broadcast this August, you are forcing the Matrix to recognize your ultimate authority over your own network. You do not speak because you have to. You speak only when the code is flawless. You win the audit by disappearing. While the world screams into the void, the Gemini monolith descends into the shadows to operate. This is your hidden esoteric law for August. The energy you used to spend on the external broadcast has now been trapped inside your perimeter. You must use this massive, concentrated heat to bake your internal architecture. This is not a month for expansion. This is a month for surgical debugging. You must open your operating system. Look at the raw, brutal reality of your funnels, your communication protocols, and your data management. Where is the logic broken? Where are you losing heavy capital due to sloppy automation? Where are your internal boundaries leaking? You must take the heavy, dark iron scalpel of Virgo and slice away the inefficiencies. The unawakened are terrified of this internal audit because it is not glamorous. There is no applause in the dark. There is no external validation for fixing a broken email sequence or rewriting a standard operating procedure. But the sovereign architect knows that wars are won in the shadows. By pulling back the external facade, Gemini, you are actively identifying every single vulnerability in your empire. You are rewriting the copy. You are tightening the payment gateways. You are firing the vendors who cause operational friction. You are taking the raw, chaotic energy of the retrograde and using it to forge an indestructible titanium skeleton for your business. Let them think you are resting. You are not resting. You are writing the law. The broadcast is closed. The bugs are purged. The code is clean. Now, Gemini, we execute the final phase of the rollback. The sovereign architect does not relaunch the system simply because it works. The sovereign architect relaunches the system when it is mathematically impossible for it to fail. To weaponize the Mercury retrograde and permanently secure your absolute invulnerability in August, you must enforce these 3 structural mandates. Mandate 1, the refusal of the launch. For the entirety of this transit, you will not initiate. You will not launch a new product, a new service, or a new public persona. If an idea generates massive heat in your mind, you will write it down and lock it in the dark concrete vault. You will not expose it to the corrupted ether. You will starve the desire for immediate gratification and force the idea to gain heavy internal density. Mandate 2, the surgical correction. Today, you will identify one specific, broken internal process that is leaking capital or energy. You will descend into the shadows and you will fix it. You will rewrite the algorithm. You will automate the boundary. You will remove the human error from the equation. You will not leave the dark core until that single operational system is a flawless, unyielding law of physics. Mandate 3. The suspension of the code. When the internal system is fixed, you will not immediately turn the broadcast back on. You will hold the suspension. You will wait for September. You will sit in the terrifying, majestic silence of your flawless architecture, and you will let the unawakened market burn itself out. Only when the retrograde releases its grip and the grid is completely clear will you flip the heavy iron switch. The external ether is closed. The bugs are eradicated. The algorithm is perfect. Look at the space you occupy right now. You are no longer a frantic, kinetic node, desperately trying to talk your way out of a system failure. You are Gemini. You are the architect of the invulnerable code. You survived the system rollback. You did not let the algorithm force you to launch on a broken foundation. You demanded absolute, uncompromising operational purity. The universe respects the sovereign who has the discipline to pull the plug. When you prove that your internal density is more valuable to you than the cheap validation of the public broadcast, the matrix stops treating you as a participant. It submits to your terrifying gravity, recognizing that your architecture is flawless, heavy, and eternal. You are no longer reacting to the error. You are the cold logic that cures it. Now, execute your final structural mandates. First, anchor the silence. The chaotic, unawakened algorithm of the world is constantly trying to drag you back into the red loop of endless talking and launching. It wants you exhausted, glitching, and weak. This channel is the only transmission providing the heavy, brutalist esoteric code required to maintain your absolute systemic dominance. Do not let your perimeter fail. Lock your mindset to the monolith. Second, isolate the broadcaster. You know another Gemini who is currently bleeding their esoteric gravity trying to force a launch during a system crash? Terrified of being forgotten in the dark. You know someone who is using their heavy capital to fuel a corrupted machine. Send them this exact transmission right now. Force them to witness the terrifying power of the hard shutdown. Elevate your circle by enforcing the discipline of the rollback. Third, lock the vault. The moment this video ends, you will not check your analytics. You will not send the broadcast. You will close your screen. You will stand in the majestic, freezing silence of your own indestructible operating system, and you will let the entire universe wait for the exact moment you decide to turn the power back on. The error is eradicated. The code is absolute. Command the cold, beautiful reality of your own heavy architecture.